Welcome back to my channel, The Dark Truth Diaries. Everything I'm about to tell you happened inside a home that, from the outside, looked safe, warm, and picture-perfect. A young family, a trusted babysitter, and a quiet neighborhood where nothing bad was supposed to happen. But behind closed doors, a different story was taking shape. A story of obsession, manipulation, and a plan so dark that the mother never saw it coming. This is the story of the babysitter who wanted to replace the mother. Emily Harding was the kind of woman people admired. A devoted mother, a steady career in marketing, and a calm, gentle way of moving through the world. She and her husband, Daniel, lived in a peaceful suburb with their 3-year-old daughter, Lily. Emily's job required long hours, and after months of struggling to juggle motherhood and work, they decided to hire a babysitter. That decision would be the beginning of everything. Part 2. The babysitter arrives. Her name was Sophie, 22 years old, polite, soft-spoken, and seemingly perfect with children. She came from a small town, said she was putting herself through school, and reminded Emily of a younger version of herself. Within weeks, she became part of the family's rhythm. She cooked. She cleaned. She read bedtime stories to Lily. She even stayed late if Emily got stuck in traffic. Emily trusted her completely. Daniel noticed something else. Sophie not only helped, she watched. Watched the way Emily spoke. Watched how Daniel hugged his daughter. Watched where things were kept, how meals were made, how the house functioned. At first, they thought she was just being observant. They had no idea she was studying them. The first strange thing happened 2 months in. Emily came home early from work. When she walked into her living room, she froze. Sophie was sitting exactly where Emily usually sat, same posture, same blanket, same coffee mug. Lily was curled beside her, humming a song Emily always sang. When Sophie noticed her, she quickly stood up and laughed nervously. "Oh, sorry." Lily said she wanted to pretend to be you today. "We were just playing." It seemed innocent. But Emily couldn't shake the feeling that she had interrupted something. Over the next few weeks, more unsettling things happened. Sophie bought the same perfume Emily used. She began wearing her hair like Emily's. She mimicked Emily's phrases, even the little jokes Emily used with Daniel. She started referring to Lily as my girl in texts. The worst moment came when Emily opened her laundry basket and found a sweater she hadn't worn in months, one she thought she had lost. She later learned Sophie had taken it home. Emily confronted her gently. Sophie insisted it was an accident. But Emily's instincts were screaming. Daniel didn't believe anything was wrong, at first. He saw Sophie as sweet, helpful, and deeply attached to their daughter. And that was the problem. Emily felt pushed out of her own home. When she'd walk through the door, Lily ran to Sophie first. When Daniel came home, Sophie was already cooking dinner. When Emily tried to set boundaries, Sophie would tear up and apologize in a way that made her feel guilty and unreasonable. Emily felt like she was losing her role in her own family. She didn't realize that was exactly what Sophie wanted. Late one night, Emily couldn't sleep. She walked into the kitchen and saw a faint light under the basement door. Daniel was asleep upstairs, so she quietly went down. She found Sophie in the basement. Not cleaning. Not doing laundry. But sitting on the floor, flipping through a photo album, their photo album. A private one they kept stored away. Pictures of Emily pregnant. Emily holding Lily in the hospital. Family vacations. Emily gasped. Sophie looked up with a smile that made Emily shiver. "I just love seeing your life. It's everything I've ever wanted." The next morning, Emily told Daniel everything. He was shaken, but still tried to rationalize it. "She's just lonely," he said. "She's attached to Lily. We should give her a chance." Emily refused. She decided she would fire Sophie that weekend. But Sophie had already sensed the shift. One Friday evening, Emily got home later than expected. The house was quiet. Too quiet. She called out for Lily, no answer. Her heart dropped. Then she heard humming upstairs. She rushed to Lily's room. And stopped in the doorway. Sophie was sitting in the rocking chair, brushing Lily's hair as the little girl slept on her lap. But it wasn't the scene itself that terrified Emily. It was what Sophie was wearing. Emily's dress. Emily's bracelet. Emily's wedding ring, which had been missing for 2 weeks. Emily's voice shook. "Take it off." Sophie didn't move. Instead, she whispered, "Lily called me mommy today," and then smiled. Something inside Emily went cold. Emily grabbed her daughter and screamed for Daniel. The commotion startled Sophie, and she finally snapped. She began crying, screaming that she loved them, that she was meant to be part of their family, that Emily didn't appreciate what she had. Daniel forced her out of the house and threatened to call the police. She finally left. But the story wasn't over. The next morning, police arrived at their door. Not because Emily called them, but because Sophie's previous employer had. They had reported her months earlier after discovering she had been stealing clothing, entering their bedroom at night, and writing the mother's name in journals surrounded by hearts. She had disappeared after they fired her. Now they knew where she had gone. Sophie was taken into psychiatric custody for evaluation. She had a history of obsessive behavior toward families she worked for. Emily and Daniel spent months rebuilding their home life. Lily eventually forgot, but Emily never did. Her home hadn't been attacked by violence. It had been invaded by obsession. Quiet. Patient. Calculated. A stranger who didn't want to destroy the family, but replace the mother who lived in it. If you enjoyed this story, make sure you subscribe for more chilling true crime-inspired narratives. And remember, sometimes the most dangerous people aren't the ones who break into your home. They're the ones you let in. Thank you.